Greetings, YouTube. Today I'd like to talk about the latest book I just finished reading, The Gift of Fear by Gavin De Becker. This is a great book. It deals with how fear is a useful, natural, intuitive experience, how it can save our lives, and how excess fear, which leads to anxiety and stress, is bad and can have a negative impact on our health. And how to tell the difference so that when you get that sense of fear, you use it as a survival skill, and when there's nothing to fear, you shouldn't be afraid. You shouldn't be in a state of anxiety. You shouldn't be in a state of worry. And if you are, then you need to find out why. He brings up the interesting point that the original meaning of worry was to harass, like a dog worrying a bone, or a warrior worrying an opponent. So when you worry, in its modern use, you're harassing yourself. And why would you do that? Worry has been a major concern for me through my life, and in the last few years, I've gotten better at handling it. Mostly because I realized that there are things that I have no control over. So why worry about them? I can prepare for the eventualities. I can, conceive of certain options, but after that, why concern myself? This book is particularly good for any woman out there. And I'm serious. If you can get your hands on this book, and you're a woman, read it. Because sadly, the vast majority of perpetrators of violent acts are males, and the vast majority of the victims of those acts are women. And this book will help you to understand some of the mechanisms that occur around acts of violence, and how to listen to yourself. Those warning signs. You get that creepy feeling about somebody? Do something. Don't be afraid to put your hand up and say, no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want your help. I don't want your assistance right now. I don't want to engage in a conversation with you. Our social conditioning tells us that that's rude, but it can save your life. If someone gave you an unsolicited phone call, some cold calling ad person, do you feel bad about hanging up on them? No, of course not. Sometimes you're pleasant about it. Say, no, I'm not interested, thanks, and you hang up. Sometimes you just hang up. Well, it works that way in the real life, too. If someone approaches you, and you don't want to be in a conversation with them or near them, it's your right to just say no. As the author of this book says, no is a complete sentence. There doesn't need to be any debate. And sometimes, when a person proposes a concept to you, when they approach you, they're feeling you out. And when you refuse something, and you don't stick to your guns, that sends them a message. Like if you're at a party and someone says, hey, do you want a drink? And you don't want a drink, and you say no, and the person responds with, oh, come on, everybody's having a drink. And then you give in, you just told them that no is a conditional word for you. And that's dangerous. Sometimes they're harmless. Sometimes they aren't. And that's important. Some of them are feeling you out because they're disinterested, and some are feeling you out because they're viewing you as a potential victim. But the reality is that most people in America are not going to be victims of crime. And it's important to know when you get those signals, when your intuition kicks in, to listen. I believe the statistic is that 1 out of every 150 Americans, at least at the time of this book, which was I think 10 years ago, will be a victim of violent crime. So just statistically, I've already got it covered. I was raised by a violent person, but I listened to my instincts. I always have. Some of that conditioning was from my childhood, and I admit that there have been times when I've been hypervigilant, which is not healthy. But there are times when just listening to my instincts has got me out of situations where I thought there could have been a violent act. Don't know if there was, because I got myself out of it. Then again, didn't have one either. It's my right to get myself out of those situations. Listen to your instincts, because they can help save your life. So if you are interested in this topic, it's a good read. It's interesting. The author engages the reader by bringing in personal experiences of his own as a child, and then throughout his career, he owns a business that does risk assessment and takes care of clients who feel that they're at risk from stalkers or assassination or post-event analysis to figure out how to avoid this kind of thing in the future. So he's got a lot of experience, and he has been in contact with some interesting people, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to have my wife read the book as well. So again, get this book, read it. It could be really helpful.